You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network and the John Fredericks Radio app, and we are live in Indianapolis, Indiana. Senate Majority Leader, Republican Chris Garten is with us from Southern Indiana, District 45. Just want to start out by saying this segment is brought to you by my good friend Julio Gonzalez, Engineered Tax Services, ETS, baby. Listen, the tax code is 2 million pages. This is something Chris needs, without a doubt. This is something Chris needs. He owns a business. He owns a stone countertop business. He got 30 employees. You know how much money you could possibly save? Now, here's what you do with ETS, Engineered Tax Services, and Julio. This is tax literacy for MAGA. You do your taxes, go to your accountant, all your people, your brother-in-law, whatever you do. It's all good. Before you file them, do them, but before you file them with the government, send them to Julio's company. Cost you nothing. They're going to look it over. Chances are they're going to make recommendations that are legally going to save you a ton of money because they take advantage of everything out of the 2 million. Plus, they can get you grants. This is what they do. And they only take 5 to 10% of what they save. Risk to you, zero. Reward, uncalculable. Now you say, well, how do I do this, John? Well, all you got to do is text the letters ETS, Engineered Tax Services, ETS to the number 26786. Do it now, text ETS to 26786, 26786. Text it now. You're going to get free information, no obligation, might be able to save you a fortune. Our taxes for 24 right now under review. We have a conference call Wednesday. Can't wait to see what they're going to come up with. All legal, all done the right way. They don't get between you and your account. They don't want to do that. They just want to review them. They've read 2 million pages. You haven't. That's the difference. ETS, text it 26786. Joining me now is Majority Leader of the Republican Senate in Indiana, Chris Garten, and that's Garten. Chris, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. It's a pleasure.
So let's, and you want to hold the mic up.
Sure.
So let's just start here. We got to get this out of committee today. There's 9 votes. There's 9 people on the committee. 2 are Dems, no. 2 hard no's on Republican side. That leaves us 5. Likely to get the vote of the chairman, Mike Gaskin. Likely to get the vote of the vice chair. So we got 3 people hanging in the balance. I guess Senator Good, Stacey Donato, and Linda Rogers. Are we going to get this out of committee?
Look, Chairman Gaskell is a veteran chairman of elections. I've got complete confidence in his ability to navigate his own committee. Of course, he's the bill's author, or bill sponsor rather, too. So yeah, I think I look for Mike to be very thorough, very detailed in his approach to this bill. And yeah, I've got complete faith and confidence in our committee.
So I just had somebody on had said that basically said as goes Senator Good, the other 2 people follow. True or false?
Well, look, one thing I've learned a long time ago in this business, Sean, anybody tells you they think they know what's going on and they think they know what's going to happen.
They don't.
They probably don't, right? and so, look, we've got some members who I think are doing their due diligence. They're being thoughtful. They're listening to folks in their, in their respective districts. And I think they're trying to weigh the scope of the vote, right? I think they're trying to figure out, how does this affect my district? How does it affect Indiana? And how does it affect America? And I think throughout that process, again, I've got confidence. I think there's a path to get to 26, and I've got confidence and faith in my caucus that we'll get there.
So the first order of business today is we have to get it out of committee. It's inconceivable to me to think that you wouldn't get 5 votes and get it out, right?
Yeah, again, I've got confidence in Chairman Gaskell, especially with him being the bill sponsor in the Senate. I know that he's been in close communication with his members on that committee, trying to answer their questions, making sure that their questions are answered right. And I think you'll see questions asked in the committee, and that's part of the process, right? And I think he'll welcome those. And I've got complete faith and confidence that he's going to navigate that in a very professional way and one that's successful and moves that bill out to the floor.
And then you need to get 26 votes, assuming that it gets out of committee. I've talked to a number of people who said right now, as of today, they can count on 22 votes. Means you're down 4. What is your level of confidence? in
Yeah,
getting those?
I'll go back to my previous statement. Anybody that tells you they know the number or knows where this thing is or where it's going, John, probably has a crystal ball. I don't. But that said, again, I do see a path. I think we've got some members that are being very, very thorough. And I think you're going to continue to see them to be thoughtful, right? I think you've seen engagement from the White House, which I think has been this realization to some of our members of the scope and the importance
Oh yeah,
of what this means, not only to the president and his team, but what it means to the nation.
exactly. It's a Save America moment.
No, that's exactly right. I think it is too. And look, let's be honest here. Us in Indiana, we're humble, we're hardworking, we're common sense oriented. We just want to keep our head down, right? And we just want DC to leave us alone. We're a states' rights state. We believe in that. And all of a sudden, this is something that Republicans in Indiana didn't ask for. We didn't ask for this fight. The Democrats brought it to us. And you can be sure, and I'm confident that you're going to see Indiana Hoosiers answer the call.
We're with Majority Leader of the State Senate of Indiana, Chris Garten, G-A-R-T, as in Tom, E-N, but pronounced like Garden, and he's with us. So you have an interesting dynamic, Senator. You're the Majority Leader of the Senate, but the Senate Pro Tem Leader, Rod Bray, who chose you as a Majority Leader, handpicked, if you will, Bray is on opposite ends of this. He has fought really hard to stop this thing. What is his deal?
Look, Senator Bray's a thoughtful guy. He's a thoughtful leader, but I think this is something he's passionate about, on the other side of this. But I think that's healthy. I think healthy debate is what this country was built on. And I think that there's strength in a leadership team when you've got folks that are willing to have debates with each other about what's best for not only the caucus, but what's best for the state and what's best for the country. And I think that's the process that we're engaged in right now. And it's something that we've both been respectful of each other and our positions about, and something that you will continue to see us both be that way. Senator Bray's a consummate professional, and he cares about what he's doing. I just think we're on opposite sides of this, and that's okay.
Tell me about the dynamics inside your caucus, because I know there's this thing called Indiana Nice. I'm certainly experiencing some of it since
Sure.
I've been here. But it's hard to be nice when you're faced with basically a communist takeover of the United States, and that's what we're looking at. So, I mean, how do you guys reconcile that? Because I look at this from the outside, and it's like this is a Neville Chamberlain moment.
That's right.
Right? You're either, and I said this to you
Yeah.
last night, you're either a Chamberlain or a Churchill here.
That's right.
Because of the stakes are so enormous. And I still talk to some people, and it's like, well, the process has already been figured out. It's not the really way we do business. And then you look at all these other states that have gerrymandered where there's 42, 45% Republicans, and they don't have a single seat. Like, how do you guys deal with that?
So, John, it's a great Midwest nice, right? That's the coined phrase. And, to your point, you said you've experienced that.
Yes.
We're the state, right? Where if you need a cup of sugar, you can go to anybody's house and you're going to get it, right?
Right.
You got a flat tire on the side of the road, inevitably within the first 5 minutes, somebody's going to stop and help you. That's just who Hoosiers are, right? To that point, we're not used to having the fights that DC has with those Democrats, right? We go back to our districts. We've all got friends that are Democrats. And so to that point, those are the people they're hearing from. What I've tried to do is continually, when my colleagues call me and say, Chris, what are you hearing? So I'm hearing from my friends that don't like it too, but they're Democrats and they don't vote for us. They're still my friends, but those aren't our voters.
Right.
Right. And so, what we get into when we talk about this is, look, we've polled this. We know that 2/3 of our Republican base wants this. And look, this is the ugly truth that nobody wants to talk about. Democrats and Democrat states want it too. There was a poll out of California, right? California Democrats.
65% voted for it.
That's exactly right.
2-1.
That's exactly right. And that polling on the Republican side in Indiana shows us that the Republican base is almost in the same exact number.
So right now, for the Republicans in Indiana, you have a majority. When you polled Republicans, it's 2-1. They want this.
That's exactly right.
So what's the problem?
I don't know that.
Why is it so difficult? Why am I here?
Well, that's a good question. Well, we're glad you're here, first of all. So thank you for coming to Indiana.
Welcome.
But secondly, I think you're here because what you're seeing is I think Hoosiers are thoughtful and they're deliberate. And I think we've got members that are really focused on the minutia of not only the maps, but the process. And they want to hear from folks from the White House. Why is this important? And they're doing their due diligence.
Well, I would say unequivocally that the White House has made this a number one political priority. Yeah. I won't even mince words. It's not only the 2 votes it's not only the 2 votes, Chris, in Indiana. It's the White House believes that this is going to set the precedent for many other states, and they think that this is going to be their best chance to keep the majority. And we all know, if the Democrats take over, Trump's done. They're going to impeach him on day 3. They're not going to work with him. All they're going to do is drag people in, try to get them impeached, try to disrupt the system, just like they did with the shutdown. So you're going to get nothing done, and it's going to be the end of President Trump having any success. That's why the stakes here are so high.
That's exactly right. And look, I think, I had a teacher say a long time ago, hey, Chris, education's a process, right? And I think we're in the middle of that political educational process about why this is so important. Like, we've got members that say, hey, look, John, we're not hearing from constituents about redistricting. We're hearing from them about utility prices and utility rates. Well, look, that's directly related and directly affected to redistricting and who has a majority, right? Biden's war on coal caused Indiana was a heavily coal-dependent state. Our utility rates have spiked because of Biden's war on coal and his environmental terroristic approach to things like that, like fentanyl crisis, drug overdoses. Drug overdoses, Americans that have died of drug overdoses is the same amount of Americans who have died in all foreign wars combined. That's directly to the border policies. President Trump has done more than any president in my lifetime and in your lifetime and maybe ever to secure the border and make sure that our nation and Americans are first. All these things are directly related to our districts and redistricting. If we don't redistrict and we lose the majority in the House, there will be Hoosiers that die of a fentanyl overdose within days of these border policies changing. We know that they're coming through the Mexican border and the Canadian border, and we know that they're coming from communist China. And we've got to take a stand, and we've got to fight back against that and put Americans and Hoosiers first.
Chris, you also served. You're a Marine Corps veteran.
That's right. Gunnery
so
sergeant.
you served two tours in Iraq.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about this second strike on this Venezuela drug boat, and the Democrats going crazy over it. They want to impeach Hegseth and Admiral whatever the admiral's name, Admiral Bradley. These were drug dealers bringing drugs in to kill our kids. What is the obsession that the Democrats have?
These are terrorists. These are murderers. And I couldn't be more supportive of Secretary Hegseth and the Department of War's policy on absolutely annihilating these narco terrorists. They kill Hoosiers and they kill Americans, and they put money over lives. And it's for the first time again in our history, we've got a president and an administration that has taken a stand and said, absolutely not. No more. We're going to stop you in your tracks. And if that means you're willing to lose your life for it, then look, we're going to make sure you do that.
Where do we go from here?
Well, we're going to pass redistricting, John. Well, I
love your confidence.
That's exactly right. Now, look, I can't overstate. I do have confidence in my caucus members. I really do. They're good human beings. They're putting their districts first. They're doing their due diligence, and they're being deliberative, right? Some of us just work a little faster than others and get to a conclusion. That's where I am, but doesn't make me right and doesn't make them wrong. But again, I am confident in the process, and I'm confident in my caucus. I see a path.
It was interesting. I had an off the record conversation, so I can't say who it is, but I talked to one of your colleagues yesterday at length, who was on the fence, and it was a fascinating discussion, and it depicts just what you said. Like, he was giving me both arguments.
Yeah.
Like, here's the argument for it. Here's the argument against it. And I said, well, I'm struggling to figure out the argument for it when, like, we're electing communists in New York City. I mean, like, what is it? And they're going to impeach Trump and everything else. And he's like, well, like a lot of the people in my district I talk to, we've been through this. We do it the right way. We don't want to get caught up in what Massachusetts has done or California. We do it differently here. And, that's what separates us out, et cetera. So it was very interesting because and then he also gave me the argument in favor of it, which is, we need these 2 seats in order to win, and everybody else does it. But even at the end of the conversation, I had no idea how this guy was going to vote. And he's targeted as one of our swing voters. But that was kind of that kind of summed it up for me, the dilemma that some of your colleagues have. So they want to do the right thing. They want to protect their tradition.
Sure.
But on the other hand, they understand the stakes now are higher. And I almost thought if he said to me, I just want the whole thing to go away, that was what he said without saying it.
Sure.
I just want it to go away.
I've had members call and talk to me about some of this, right? And the thing that I've told them, the quickest way to make this go away is vote for it, pass the bill. And then it goes away, right?
It goes away.
It goes away.
Forever.
Forever.
You'll
right?
never hear about it again.
That's exactly, well, in 8 or 10 more years, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly right.
That's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. You want to get rid of this. You want this to go away. Let's vote for it. Let's move the bill and let's redistrict.
Yeah, but it is interesting. Like, and Tony Katz was saying this earlier, and I kind of got the feeling in talking to some of your colleagues is they don't like the media scrutiny. They like to stay under the radar screen. They like to do things in a methodical way. And this process has really disrupted that. And remember, somebody wrote a book a long time ago, and it was called "Who Took My Cheese?" I don't know if you heard that.
I have, yeah. Who moved my cheese?
Who moved my
That's
cheese?
right. Yep.
And it was like, the mouse, and they always got the cheese there, and somebody, took it out of the way and put it somewhere else. It was actually better when they moved it, but they wanted to go back to the worst cheese the old way.
That's right.
And it's that's almost like I feel it here. It's like, who moved my cheese?
That's right. It's again, it's been a very interesting process, and I've got friends on both sides of this issue, unelected and elected, within my caucus, right? And back to an earlier point, it's real simple. If you want this to go away, let's vote for it and move it. Hoosiers are hardworking, especially our members who are elected right now are used to keeping their heads down, right? And just doing the work and doing the grind of session and all the fiscal matters that come up and the policy matters. We're not used to having this external outside pressure from Washington, D.C. But what we're also not used to recognizing, and I've got a few notes here, we're not used to recognizing other Democrat states that are gerrymandered either. And for once, this conversation has forced us to sort of look up and look left and look right and see what other Democrat states are doing. Look, you've got Connecticut, Trump won by 42%, right? 0 GOP House seats. And the list goes on. Hawaii, Trump won by 37, 0 seats. Massachusetts, President Trump won by 36%, 0 GOP seats. Maine, Trump wins by 45%. New Hampshire, Trump 48%. New Mexico, 46%. Rhode Island, 42%. Not one Republican House seat. Right now in Indiana, again, this isn't a fight we picked, but it's darkened our doorstep, and now we've got to answer the call and get this done.
You got to answer the call.
That's exactly right.
All right, Chris, we got to write up here. Also, we've got you missed one, Vermont, 32%.
Oh, that's exactly
0
right.
seats. Delaware, 42%, 0 seats. I mean, it's just incredible they have done this. Okay, now, being that you are coaching your middle school son's basketball team.
That's right.
That was I coached basketball for a long time. I know it's middle school, a little bit different. Do you play man or zone?
Well, John, depends on who we're playing. We played up in an 8th grade tournament last night, so we switched it up a little bit. We were kind of outmanned. And,
you went to zone.
We went to a zone that we trapped out of. So, here look, we're a basketball state, right? I know right now everybody's saying we're a football state, not because of the Colts, unfortunately, but because the Indiana Hoosiers just won the Big Ten championship, and we think they're going to deliver a national championship too, so we're excited about that. But we're a basketball state, right? The movie Hoosiers is a classic. Maybe you've seen it. If not, I'd highly encourage you to watch it. But
everybody's seen
Hoosiers,
that Gene
right?
Hackman movie.
Oh, my goodness. It's a great story.
Especially when he goes to, I guess, the Indianapolis Center and measures the net with a ladder.
That's exactly
measures
right.
the hoop.
Still a 10-foot rim, right?
Still 10 feet. Measure that. How big is it? Oh, it's still 6 feet diameter or whatever it is. I mean, that's just a classic.
It is. It really is. And look, it's the epitome of basketball here in Indiana. And again, I think it's reflective of who Hoosiers are. But back to your, we're a scrappy team. We like to press and get up and down and get after it and score the basketball.
Yeah. I used to run that. We ran press the entire time. In fact, I ran in high school. I ran the run, a trap press, and I had two teams, A and B. We called them blue and gray, and they rotated in every 2 minutes. All we had to do was stay in a game in the middle of the fourth quarter. If I was down by under 10 with 8 minutes to go, we won every game because they were just gassed. And I'm rotating players in every 2 minutes. When we get to the fourth quarter, if the game was with an 8, we won every single game.
So, John, my high school coach was the great Tony Bennett, who was the Secretary of Education.
That's right.
Under Governor Daniels.
That's right.
And he was my high school basketball coach.
No kidding.
And I'll never forget Coach Bennett. He, the way he taught us to play was this. a bad 3 is better than a turnover. So I can live with a bad 3. And so, man, we would just run the score. We would run teams to death. But I think we were always in the top 5 or 10 in the state of points scored per game. And so we just get after it.
Well, I used to say double the offense, half the defense.
That's
All I got to do is score more points than they do.
That's right.
I remember one time I had my shooting guard, my 2, and he missed like 5 shots in a row, right? And then they passed him the ball wide open, and he passed it off. I called the timeout and took him out. I'm like, shoot the ball. I don't care if you miss 15 shots.
That's right.
Because then you're going to make 15
That's right.
in a row. My highest score. Shoot the ball.
Well, John,
right?
I can assure
If
you.
you get the ball, shoot the ball.
There was never a shot I didn't like. I can assure you.
Shoot the ball. The only shot you don't make is the one you don't take.
That's exactly right.
I enjoyed it.
John, thank
Chris,
you so much.
thank you so much. People want to
Appreciate
follow
what
you
you're
on
doing.
social media. Where do they go?
Yeah, on Twitter, we're at @SEN_Chris Garten. And on Instagram, Senator Chris Garten.
All right, then that's Garten. Chris Garten, very confident we're going to win this vote. Get out of committee today and then pick up the 4 votes we need. We got 22. We need 26. Thank you,
Thanks,
Chris,
John.
for being with
Appreciate
us.
what you're doing.
Good
Thank
luck
you.
today.
Hey, thanks so much.
I'll see you over there a little bit later on. Michael Patrick Leahy is next. You want to stay with us? And don't forget, follow me on social media at JF Radio Show. I'll give a report from the state senate here in Indianapolis after the vote, getting this out of committee. Stay with us.